Can shirt sales pay for a transfer? No matter how much your club paid for an elite player, they'll recoup the cost on shirt sales, right? This idea always seems to come up whenever a blockbuster move shakes up the football world, especially when you consider after Cristiano Ronaldo's move to Juventus, they sold over 500,000 shirts with his name on in 24 hours. So is it really possible to pay for a transfer through the merchandise? While the latter is a very important element of marketing and increasing your reach of the global audience, the club isn't really the main recipient of the money that's generated from all of those black and white Ronaldo shirts we've seen everywhere. Kit deals are very different from your traditional sponsorship arrangements. The clubs hand over a license to the manufacturers for a flat sum, who then, in turn, are allowed to use the team's brand to slap it on whatever product they see fit. They usually pay a set amount every year for the privilege, and while a certain amount of revenue is shared with the club, around 85 to 90% of such income stays with the companies like Adidas, Nike and Puma. This number could certainly vary depending on the specific club. For instance, since Bayern Munich are partially owned by Adidas, they probably get a sweeter deal than the rest of the pack. And in some cases, it might not even come into play at all. Manchester United gets such a humongous sum every year that they only get a cut from shirt sales once they've already reached a certain threshold. Don't worry, they'll be just fine. Their record-breaking deal with Adidas brings them a cool £75 million per year since July 2014. Not that you could tell based on their transfer business this summer, but that amount is nowhere near close to the expected shirt sales during the 10-year contract, which could bring in an eye-popping £1.5 billion for Adidas. So why don't they manufacture and sell the kits themselves to really make a big buck? As it turns out, it's a pretty difficult and resource-intensive job to do right, and one that really falls outside of the scope of managing a football club. Not only that, but the companies that dominate this space are absolutely massive. For instance, Nike has earned a lot more in 3 months last year than Chelsea have in their entire history. Even if you sold an incredible number of shirts, it's important to know that not all sales are created equal. Not everyone who bought a Juventus shirt with Ronaldo's name on it is a brand new convert. Many of them would have probably purchased one anyway, but with someone like Chiellini or Dybala on the back. Then there's the whole thing about image rights. It's essentially everything that is unique about them, from their likeness to their signature, and is often a separate part of contract negotiations. In the case of the global superstars, their income from image rights partly come from shirt sales, meaning there's even less left for the club to pay for the transfer. This is such a big deal in some cases that the player sells off their image rights separately. For instance, Ronaldo's are owned by Peter Lim, the man behind Valencia and Salford City. This might cause a bit of a headache for Juventus' accountants, but it really isn't a big deal when it comes to this massive transfer. In practice, all this put together means that no club has ever managed to pay for a player with the shirt sales alone. Even though it's an extremely valuable bonus when you sign someone like Ronaldo, to see so many people running around with his name on their back and your colours on the front, the marketing and sponsorship opportunities will never be as important as the goals scored and the points accrued by the presence of such a talismanic player. And at the end of the day, this is what such marquee signings are judged upon.